the most insane punishments Genghis Khan used on his enemies. One of the most infamous and renowned fighters in history was Genghis Khan. He was the founder and ruler of the Mongol Empire, which at its height ruled over a sizable area of Asia. We've all heard tidbits of Genghis Khan and his conquests, but in this video, we'll look at some completely bizarre tales about him. These tales portray a ferocious warrior who was not afraid of slaying any adversaries or foes who stood in his way. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it, stacking bones into piles the size of mountains. When the Mongols invaded Europe in the 12th century, they slaughtered their adversaries rather than just killing them. The warriors of these Mongols would seize their captives and throw them into a large hole. The Mongols would squeeze everyone in and then set fire to the bottom of the pit, burning the captives alive. The Mongols employed this technique on more than 500 Russian soldiers in one horrifying instance. The warriors constructed a tower out of the bodies and bones of the dead because they were so proud of their work. The court historian for Genghis Khan's grandson, Atamalek Joyvenim, provided another account of these bone piles. The Mongol army entered Merv, also known as Merv Oasis or Alexandria, in 1211, and launched an assault after 6 days of exploration. They informed the people of Merv that the authorities would be flexible if they surrendered, which they did as the ransacking got underway. Yet instead of honoring their word, the Mongols murdered the entire city. Then, as he sat on the golden throne inside the oasis, Genghis gave the order for all captured soldiers to be brought to his feet for execution. When everything was finished, Genghis Khan destroyed the city by setting fire to Sultan Sanjar's shrine and tomb. When all was said and done, the bodies were heaped high. According to Joyvenim, so many people died that the bones of the fallen became mountains, and the desert went red with the blood of the dear ones. He ordered his soldiers to use captured opponents as body shields in battle. The Khan was careful about who he would employ as fighting human shields. When enemy soldiers surrendered, hoping for good treatment, he occasionally executed them. And other times, if they had proper attitude and right skills, he might have allowed them to join his army. Yet, when he was in the mood, he would order his men to seize a sizable contingent of soldiers who would be forced to surrender and make them fight against the enemy. The captive soldiers were prodded to fight as valiantly as they could by his men, and if they failed to do so, they were executed. They could only delay their demise by giving the Khan and his forces the best fight they could muster. If they genuinely proved their value, they could be given a proper place in his forces. Staking the heads of his enemies. Blood was not something Genghis Khan shied away from. On the contrary, he enjoyed it. His preferred form of torture was the 1,000 cuts. The prisoner would be repeatedly slashed until they died using this method, which is exactly what it sounds like it would be. This was the hard and gradual course of action that Genghis Khan desired. Genghis Khan demonstrated his bloodlust in a different scenario when he gave the order to execute 24,000 people in Herat, which is now modern-day Afghanistan. He gave the order to bring all the detainees to the main square after the city had been taken. Upon there, the Mongol warriors started beheading them, but the Khan didn't think it was sufficient. He gave the order to have all the heads put on stakes so that everyone in the city may see what happened to those who disobeyed him. Destroyed an empire for harming a messenger. Genghis Khan demonstrated just how cruel he could be in another instance. Burcha, a Mongolian messenger, was dispatched to the kingdom of Khwarezmia in 1219 with a letter for Sultan Muhammad II, the ruler. Burcha brought messages of trade and peace to the monarch, and the king executed the messenger on the grounds that he was not interested in peace and returned his head to Genghis Khan. He threatened to wipe out the entire kingdom because Khan was so furious over this deed. That's exactly what he did too. The Khwarezm Empire was devastated by the Mongol forces who overran all Persian cities within its borders, looted all they could find, killed everyone they came across, and burned their cities to the ground. About 2 million people were said to have died during the invasion, all because a single messenger was killed. Nearly erased a city from the history books. When Genghis first began his conquest of Asia in 1208, he was looking to gain power and money for his people. China was too big for Genghis to take in one fell swoop, so he had plans to take it piece by piece. China had three governing empires at the time. The Western Zhai, Jin, and Song were the empires. The Western Zhai was initially invaded by the Mongols, but the monarch surrendered and gave Genghis a large ransom to be spared. Genghis then presented the empire with a peace agreement that declared the Mongols would leave the Western Zhai monarch and his people alone as long as they remained in their place. Genghis continued his attack on the Jin Empire from this point on, but Jin wasn't going down easily, and the subsequent battles would last up to 5 years. Genghis lost a sizable amount of his army at this time, particularly during an assault on Khwarezmia, a sizable region of the country located between the Caspian and Aral Seas. He had lost a lot of troops, and his goal of conquering China had not progressed. He then asked the previous conquered Zhai Empire for reinforcements. The Zhai dynasty agreed to send Genghis troops, but its prince broke his word and sided with Jin when Genghis demanded them, and everything went to hell at that point. When the Zhai leader had broken his oath, Genghis Khan swore to entirely destroy the empire. Every resident of the capital was massacred, and the royal cemetery and surrounding structures were completely demolished by the Mongols. There was so little of the cities remaining at this stage that the civilization was nearly forgotten. That was how swiftly and ruthlessly the Mongols destroyed the city and its inhabitants, executed everyone who buried Genghis Khan. This is undoubtedly one of the most obscure and enigmatic Genghis Khan tales. He was laid to rest in an unmarked grave after passing away. Everyone who tried to locate his body and underneath his remains was said to have been killed. Thus, it is still unknown where Genghis Khan's burial is. Yet, legends claim that Genghis Khan's forebears ordered the execution of anyone involved in his burial. Everyone who attended the official funeral, which took place in Karakorum, the Mongol capital, was listed. This led to the execution of more than 2,000 mourners at the funeral by 800 soldiers, guaranteeing the burial site's perpetual secrecy. Even now, the burial location has never been located, despite claims by researchers that they have focused their search on the Burkum Khaldum mountain region. Slew his own brother over a fish. Yes, family is important, but Genghis Khan didn't let that get in the way of his tasks. His father was poisoned by a rival tribe after the Tartars. The tribal authorities expelled the young Khan, along with the rest of his family, denying him his rightful status as the successor. The family of Genghis Khan struggled through difficult times, scavenging and obtaining what was needed to survive. On one of those days, he managed to catch a fish that would feed the family, but his half-brother took it, implying that he didn't want to share it with them. Hence, after a disagreement, Genghis Khan killed his brother by waiting until he was alone himself and then killing him with a single bow and arrow. As you can see, if you start to truly get into Genghis Khan's stories and realize what they're all about and the actual circumstances behind them, these stories only grow even more violent and unimaginable. There is no doubt that Genghis Khan was among the most vicious, furious, and perhaps downright insane leaders to have ever walked the face of the earth. Whether it was due to his desire for vengeance, his leadership ability, or his total brutality. So guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you liked the video, and do let us know in the comments section below if we have missed something. Also, don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video. We would like to see you in our next video. Till then, take care.